The art of prompting music. The art of prompting music. The art of prompting
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Art of Prompting Music, the podcast where you will discover great ways of making music with AI. In this chapter, we will be discussing some ways to utilize the music making platform Suno, and I will be also sharing some of my conversations about sound and music with ChatGPT. Please explain to me why you can't process or generate sound, but Suno can process and generate sound.
It's all about design purpose. I'm primarily built to understand and generate text, like a super conversational brain. I can describe sound, help you imagine it, even guide you in manipulating it, but I don't have the architecture to produce actual audio files. Suno, on the other hand, is specifically engineered to generate sound from prompts. Its core functionality involves audio synthesis. So I'm your thinking partner, while Suno's your sound making buddy.
Of course, I would like to take a moment to invite you to participate in this project. If you want to share your prompt ideas, if you think that there are better ways to achieve what we're trying to find with our prompts, or if you think that there are better platforms to work with, please share it in the comments. Share your thoughts, share your input. This is a communal quest. Also, I would like to remind you that the best results of our efforts will be shared on playlists that you can enjoy anytime you want. The other day, I was just thinking that we live in a world where everybody can make music. There was a time, not that long ago, where the only way to make music was either to play a musical instrument or to sing. Then, after the computer revolution, it also became possible to program music. Nowadays, thanks to AI, you just need to type a few words in the chat box and music will be generated. Try typing your shopping list and listen to what comes out. You'll be surprised. But where is all this music coming from? In the time of the instruments, was the music in the instrument? In the time of the computers, was the music in the computer? Music is supposed to live inside of your soul. Remember that. Last time I remember I asked you to sing, and that didn't go very well. You couldn't really sing that much.
Yeah, singing is not my strong suit. I can describe music, help you structure it, or even inspire ideas, but belting out a tune is better left to the humans. Or tools built specifically for that. I can still help you craft some great lyrics.
How about Alexia or Siri? Can they sing?
They can't truly sing either. They can play music or use pre recorded snippets, but they don't have their own singing voices. It's kind of the same boat. Voice assistants are fantastic at giving information or triggering actions, but singing is an art that still belongs to humans, or to AI models that specialize in music generation.
In our last chapter, we discussed different type of words that we can use in order to prompt musical ideas. And we made the effort of trying to describe a reference track. In this case, it was the track More Than Ever People by Levitation and Kathy Batisteza, in order to get some similar results to the original track. Of course, we're not going to copy musically something here. What we're trying is to emulate a vibe or a feeling, basically. And that's what we will be doing today with our first prompt. Today, we have a different reference track. Today, I chose San Juan Sunset by Eumir Deodato from his album Love Island as a reference track. As usual, I won't be playing that track here on a podcast. I absolutely invite you anyway to go and check it in your favorite record shop or streaming platform or wherever you find your music on. So, long story short, I did my description based on the vibe of this song, some musical elements, some instrumentation, and I had to change it a few times. At the end, I did something like 6 different prompts until I found something that I was satisfied with. Out of our 12 tracks, there are 2 that made it to the playlist. And one of them we're going to listen to right now. I will start by reading the prompt that generated this music. Now, as I say, that prompt was the result of 6 different prompt tries. So I started with a description of the reference track, and then I started changing certain words to try to get to a result that I would think was satisfactory. Now, the prompt was instrumental piece, organic textures, and a mid-tempo. Brazilian harmonies with a soul jazz ensemble. An electric piano plays the main theme. A pan flute takes over on the bridge, and a coloring clean Fender Stratocaster plays the fields. Skillful serenity, camaraderie, and admiration create a richly nuanced texture with effortless mastery. The whole shines thanks to its parts. The hardest part of this prompt was to get the piano to play the main theme, which, as you can hear, didn't really work. So at some point I had to relinquish control and accept that the whole thing in this track was going to be played by the flute instead of the piano. Now, one of the things that happened to me when I listen to this piece is that I get curious. How would this sound played actually by real instruments? Could I put a band together and play this? It sounds like a really cool piece to play live. For that reason, I think it would be great if Suno would provide scores of this music, So, because maybe we want to play it live. It sounds like a lovely, lively piece. I don't know how close it is, vibe-wise or music-wise, to the original reference track. It it's more like that was the point of departure and this is the point of arrival. Now, I think that this would be a good song to play between sets. It has that live music vibe anyway. Well, one of my students has this amp. I think it's called Spark. And it's an AI integrated amp that comes with an app. And this app can produce different tones. You can prompt guitar tones, and it's pretty cool.
Ah, yes. The Spark amp is quite popular for that. It uses AI to analyze your playing and lets you dial in all sorts of tones just by describing them. It's great for experimenting, especially if your student wants to explore different styles without tons of pedals.
Today we have 2 prompts, and I will start right away telling you about a second one. In this case, I have chosen a different prompt strategy. For this particular prompting technique, you will need a certain degree of musical knowledge and some kind of software, somewhere where you can record or produce music, something like GarageBand, Cakewalk. I made mine with Logic. The idea is to use music as a prompt. So you can produce a small piece of music, like 4-8 bars of music, and actually you can feed that to Suno and ask Suno to make a whole song out of it. In my case, I created an 8-bar lo-fi loop. It didn't take me too long. I did it like in 20-30 minutes, and then I fed it to Suno. This time I had to redo the prompt 3 times before I got any satisfying result. And what I will do now is first show you my original loop, and then let's analyze what Suno made of it. So listen, this is the original idea. It sounds very Logic, and it sounds very sketchy. There's not really much elaboration here. It hasn't been mixed. It's just a rough idea. There are 2 guitars, a Fender Rhodes playing the melody, a bass, and a little program drum track. That's it. What would you think that Suno made out of this? Well, the process in this case was a little bit different. I fed this music to Suno, and I had to reprompt it 3 times instead of 6 times with the first prompt. However, on the first prompt, I was reprompting, trying to capture like a vibe. In this case, I have to say that the first 2 results were really not that satisfactory. It just didn't sound right. And then after changing a little bit, even editing, because Suno does have an editing possibility, well, the platform came up with this. The intro I like, actually. It does have that dreamy, melancholic, lo-fi thing. Even the key has been well spotted by Suno. Those chords have been also well spotted by Suno. As you can hear, Suno can spot me well. And as you can hear, I can spot Suno too. Now, the sounds are very polished. The interpretation is very neat. As we have been commenting on other prompts, everything sounds a little bit too generic. And after working like this for a while, I'm starting to realize, well, that Suno has its own palette of sounds. You could say Suno is a good artist, because you know that artists are supposed to have their own sound. And what I realized with all this Suno generated music is that whether it's house music, lo-fi, even sometimes like jazz or rock, you will be able to hear Suno in it. The full track, as the first full track, as all the other full tracks that we have been generating, are living in a playlist that will appear at the end of the chapter. If you're hearing us in Spotify, just go to YouTube and look for the Art of Prompting Music. There, you'll be able to listen to past chapters and to all the songs that we are creating. Now, one last thought on this whole prompting idea. It seems like I have been using Suno almost as if Suno was an instrument. Maybe a software instrument, maybe a digital instrument. However, there is something that I'm starting to realize. Something that defines music, the music that we hear, is the personality of the person who is interpreting this music. For instance, if you listen to two different artists playing exactly the same song on exactly the same instrument. For instance, I'm thinking about McCoy Tyner and Bill Evans, for instance. They both played on a very similar piano, sort of grand piano. They both played my favorite things. And if you go listen to it, it's a completely different story. It almost sounds like they're playing it in different instruments, but they're not playing in different instruments. It's just different people. On the contrary, Suno will already do that job for us. It has its own sound, its own palette of sound, as I was just saying. So I could type a prompt, you could type a prompt, or anybody could type a prompt, and their result will be somehow similar. I don't think that I could, just by listening to Suno, say, oh, this was prompted by this artist or this different artist, unless, of course, they perform on the prompt track. So it seems like Suno is the artist, as I was just saying. And leaves me with these questions. Is there enough room in this enterprise for two artists, Suno and, let's say, the prompter? Even if it was, do we need anyone else than just the platform? We could type in the phone book and something would come up. So yeah, maybe we need to learn what words to prompt. But more than anything, I think that we need to ask ourselves what our role is, both as music makers and as music listeners with this new medium. On the other hand, I can tell you that the other day I heard a fully prompt album, an album that had been 100% created by Suno. And some songs I liked, but some songs I didn't like. So it's not just that we're gonna consume everything that comes out of it, but maybe the function of the creator has drastically changed in this new environment. Do you think that it would be possible to combine the capabilities of different AI models like Suno, ChatGPT, Spark, and other ones into one combined model?
In theory, sure. The tech world is always evolving, and we do see specialized AI models starting to team up. But it's tricky. Audio generation, understanding language, and hardware control all need different strengths. Combining them well would take some engineering magic. But hey, in the future, why not? You might have one model that chats, sings, and shreds guitar tones all in one.
Well, that would be great. You know what I would really like?
I have a hunch you'd want something that's creative, hands-on, and can follow your vision.
What I would like is that if I want to do ear training exercises and I ask you to help me, you would say something like,
What about these intervals to train your ears?
or that if I ask you for a D. Dorian bass intro, you will tell me something like,
How do you like this one?
or that if I would play to you, you would say,
No, you shouldn't play it like that. You should play it like this.
this was everything for today. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and come back the next time there